Hi, vlog for the 6th of January 2022. I think it's like Thursday. Today, I didn't do my video yesterday because I was basically work this morning until I passed out. Got kind of sidetracked on another side gig. So I was working on the serving wall, and I was just going around it, building all the things I needed to build, and then I got to the Capitoline Hill part of the wall, and it shares it with the serving wall. So I was like, all right, fuck it, let's just work on the Capitoline Hill wall. So I built the Capitoline Hill wall, and then I was like, all right, fuck it, let's just build the Capitoline Hill. I already built the Capitoline Hill on the Tabla Romana map. But the history of Rome stretches from 753 BC or before that, if I want to include all the other ages, but until 476 AD and then beyond. I have my population thing until 1000, which is when it was at the smallest population, like 20,000. So that's a lot, more than 1,000 years of time. So you can have both maps. The Tabula Romana is like a lot of mistakes anyway. It was just a map, an attempt, I think, of an Italian person to try to make sense of the recently discovered old Roman map, and they've fixed things since then. I think you put a Circus Maximus has never even existed anyway. So I'll keep that, but I wanted to build my own version of it anyway because I have enough information to make it good. My philosophy about Google Earth is if you have enough information, you can build something a lot, and we need to start doing that. So I was reading the history of the hill. I did the wall, the gates, the entrances. I have 3 entrances made, and I need to build 2 more, so it'll be a total of 5. And then I built the images around it to make it look natural with trees and dirt, and then with grass. And then I put the grass inside of it. I covered the whole inside of it with trees, with the grass on the top and the central square. I built the walls on the inside of it, separating the east and the side hill. And then I became interested because I was reading the history. I signified the location of the Tarpeian Rock where they pushed people. I was reading the history, and I was became interested in the time where it became Rome was sieged, and I think it was 396 AD BC. The French Gauls came down and burnt all of Rome to the ground. And then they had to rebuild it with different roads because they didn't even know where the roads and the houses were because they literally burnt the whole thing to the ground. So that's why Rome has screwy, crisscrossy roads, because when they built it, the whole thing built back up in a year, just indiscriminately, and so it's unorganized. But the Gauls went in there, built the whole thing, and they were living there for 7 months. In the city for 7 months, just in their war tents, and then marauding around to survive. But so all the Romans ran out into the woods, but a bunch of Romans went into, some stayed and went to the Capitoline Hill, and they never the French never breached the Capitoline Wall, the citadel, which is about 9 acres. If you assume that they occupied the whole wall. In Livy, they said they went over to the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus, which is on the western side. But then, in another part of the story, they said how the French tried to climb up the hill to get over the wall on the north side of the Arcs, meaning they had the entire area. So they had left, east, and west. But but they were there for 7 months. So that's like the great history of the Capitoline Hill Wall, where the Rome was never taken over, but it was all. It got shrunken down. They ran away and then got shrunken down into the Capitoline Hill for 7 months. And so I was like, and they never said, because Livy talked about it, Polybius talked about it, and another historian talked about it. But none of them said how many people were there. So, my job, I have to know to guess how many. So I researched another area that is about the same size, the Acropolis of Athens, which is about 7 acres. And in 1646, Acropolis of Athens was indeed besieged for, I can't remember how long. I'll look how long, but When they rescued the people, it was 622 families with an estimated of 4 to 5,000 people, which means if it's 4,500 people, that's 8.2 people per family. It's like, who has that many kids? But so I was like, okay, well, assume it's 622 families, even though the Capitoline Hill is a little bit bigger. It was also a lot earlier in time, so like less people, less populous, but of the city in general. But 622, 5 people per family, 6 times 5, about 3,000. So it's like 3,000. Okay, I went and I looked at the Central Plaza area, and I mapped it out. I made an area that was and I made it grassy. You know, I'll have different images up there over time, have it different ground, but I made it grassy in the area. So then I filled the area up, you know, between the walls inside of the plaza, just tracing off Google Earth. And then I filled it up with people, and it had 500 people. 2,950 people. So perfect. Aligned it. I love it when that happens. So I was like, all right, so that's how many people are there, almost 3,000 people. So then I wanted to figure out how many people would eat that much. So and Wikipedia said 440 pounds of grain per person per year. Livy said that they were eating corn. So I was like, okay, well, how much does corn weigh? Average dryness of corn, 15.5 moisture level, moisture percent is 53 pounds for a bushel, which is 8 gallons. One of the containers of the ancient Rome, it was called the dolium. They were 4 to 450 gallons. So I averaged an average of 425 gallons. So that would make an average of like almost 3,000 pounds per dolium. Super freaking heavy, like a car. They're big. They're 2 meters high, 5 meters circumference. They know that because they found a perfectly preserved, I think a couple of perfectly preserved boat that sank, and they measured them, and it was perfectly preserved. And then you look at the ones, you can actually see them perfectly preserved at Ostia, and they're the same size when you look at them. So I decided to draw them into the temple. I made, he said that there was the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus, which existed then. I went on Wikipedia, I copied the image of it, put it on there. So I'm going to draw Jupiter's Optimus Maximus, but I'm not going to put the food in there. I copied an image of, got the image of the Aurea Agrippiana, the granary of Agrippa, which was right next to it. And I got the plan of that, put it up right next to it, fits there. And then going to fill that one up with all of the dolia of grain. But in the front, I put the area on across the street from the dolia, the building. I put a screen capture of the grain containers, the dolia, that are in Ostia. So you can see how they're the same size, the one on the ship and the one at Ostia. And that was 38 of them, but I'm going to put 2 more. So 38 that you can see, but I'm going to put 2 more for the area, so 40. And then the temple will hold something like that. So yeah, it's 258 dolia of food, of corn, assuming each person eats 440 pounds of corn a year. So they need 253 of those to sustain 2,950 people for 7 months, because Livy said when they were finally rescued by the people around who ran away, finally organized and reattacked the Gauls and kicked them out, and gave them like 1,000 pounds of gold. So, oh man, I lost my train of thought. So, they needed, but Livy said that when they were rescued, they were out of food. So, perfect. So I have 253 of those granary bass. They're made out of they're made out of pottery, and that's probably one reason why Mount Testaccio in Rome is so big. It's a mountain in Rome, in the southern part of Rome, and it's made entirely out of pottery shards. It's probably big because those dolium, those things that held the grain were so big. But I think they were saying the pottery shards of just the oil, which were smaller. But anyway, um, yeah, so I mean that's a lot, 253. So I was drawing them inside of the Aurea building, and I had to put the images there of the right size, but then on top of I was originally thinking, okay, I can just use an image, but I can't because it's too much on an incline on the mountain. So to make it so it's realistic and the floor is flat, you can't use images as the floor. You have to use just pure polygon tool, which just gives like a solid. It's too bad they haven't figured out how to put like texture to it. It just gives you a solid like color, so you can't notice things moving around. So you have to build things on there. But so I put the image on there of the round images of the size of them. The 5 meters round, and then I went and trace with the polygon tool, just trace around it, so I could make them go up and have a flat top. You can't trace with the circle tool because then when it goes up, it's like this and it doesn't even have a top. And it's faster to cut and paste and put on the images than it is to make the circle. So I was thinking about the circle because then you could have like one color on the side and then different on top, but then it would be side and it wouldn't look good. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I mean, it's super complicated, super time consuming because it's 253 of them and I have to put them on twice, the images, and then draw on in. And then I might have to adjust the height, like with all of my pillars, I have a gazillion of those on my map, and it's so uneven. I have to like individually put a height on the pillars so it aligns, and I might have to do a little bit of that, but I'll figure out. Hopefully, I could like batch edit them up because by rows. But so yeah, I mean that's what I'm doing. Is super time consuming, and then I decided I wanted to do something else also, which is how much gold, because Livy said that they had 2,000 pounds of gold at that time. And a gold, so I was like, okay, what does a gold ingot look like? Well, in ancient Rome, they had a picture of a gold ingot, and it was like a long, thin bar, but it was pretty much more or less the same size as the modern one. So I decided to use the modern one, which is like 27 centimeters by 9 centimeters, and a certain height. But I would organize them, just like not stack them, just put them down. Yeah, because 2,000 pounds of gold is only 80 bars. Yeah, it's 40 bars, 1,000 pounds. So just in the back of one of the rooms, I was just going to put the bars along. And I made an image, this exact size of a bar. It's really cool. You can make it that small on Google Earth, and you can see it. So I'm going to put the image of the bar across just here, hopefully at a part of, on the arcs, because that's where the Temple of Moretta was. So that's where they put the money. Actually, no, they didn't invent it yet. I was going to put it on the temple of Jupiter, Optimus, Maximus in one of the rooms, because the one that I copied had 3 rooms, and just put them like on a table, like just put them across. But if it's like uneven, it might be uneven. I'll have to draw it in, but I could just trace it off the shape of the golden bar, and then I'll have to draw the bars up that pop up. But so yeah, I have the individual bar, their entire treasury of like 80 gold bars, and that's probably what it was like. This is just gold ingots that they would then stamp later. But and if they had like silver or whatever else, if I find out about that, I'll put that in there. So yeah, I'm like literally drawing physically everything in history. It's really cool. Big old, detour. And I think later on after this, I want to put in like a little field for cows. I'm sure they had like some goats and sheep and cows to get them going. And I have to draw in a well. I'm assuming they had a well up on the hill. I was thinking, how do you have a well up on way up on a hill, right? But it was 9 acres, so maybe it was the well that collected the water from that whole 9 acres, and that was all they needed to sustain 3,000 people. And maybe in those days it rained more, so they did rain catchment too. And yeah, I don't know, man. They also got some supplies because they had like a secret climbing path up the north end of the arcs, and that's why the French saw that and tried to climb it before they got pushed off. So they did have a little bit of communication with the outside world, people who could sneak through the lines. But yeah, so yeah, just putting this stuff together. So now it just got dark. It's like 4:30. It's like just about to get dark. I was thinking about going to the store. It was like really cold, but I kind of need exercise. And I figured out it's not really that big of a deal to get to the store because I've been driving cars to the store every day because my roommate been letting me drive his car, but I don't have a car anymore. But I have my mountain bike, and the mountain bike, if you go slow, you can drive right around on the ice and snow without worrying about slipping and falling. And it's only across the street, right? It's like 1 block away, so you bundle up and you drive real slow, but you bundle up right, you don't get cold, so it's really not that big of a deal because I'm so close to the store. So, anyways, I was thinking about going over there to get like because I went to the store the other day to my mom, so I don't need food. But I was thinking about going over there to the store to get. I got alcohol last night because I was so excited about this. I was like, but I got vodka, like cheap $1 vodka, and it was like so hard to drink. I was like, man, I can't get stuff that cheap anymore. But no, I would go to the store tonight just because like the exercise, but also because like get an energy drink. They're like $2 over there. I don't know, well, they had one on sale for $2, and I was like, "Ooh, I got it!" But it was the one that was bent. That's why they put the fucking thing on $2. Nobody wanted to buy it. When I opened it, it didn't fizz, and I drank a flat energy drink. It sucked because it got smashed and it leaked out. But I drank the whole thing anyway. So those motherfuckers, they got me. But anyways, like $2.50. They do sometimes they have sales for $2, but yeah, $2.50 is kind of expensive. But I mean, I get kind of high on it. I guess I'm like addicted to it. But like, yeah, you sip on it because I'm smoking weed. When I'm not smoking weed, I don't drink to any of that stuff. But yeah, maybe I'll get some to you too, like munchy type thing, like Cheez-Its or something. But dude, it's so easy to not have to. You can have like snacks and good candy, all that kind of stuff, and be totally natural. Like throw grapes. The other store I bought a bunch of green grapes. You throw the green grapes into the freezer, they're like frozen, and you like chewing on them, and they're like they have a texture of candy. You chewing on them and suck on them, and they're like it's like candy. When you eat a frozen grape, you don't just like gobble them down like normal grape. So that's like a replacement for candy. And then for like if you're talking about like energy drink, if you want caffeine, just make your coffee, and then and oh yeah, and then for like snacks, like instead of getting like Cheez-Its or like potato chips or whatever, just cut up a potato and throw it in the air dryer, and 20 minutes later, half hour later, you have a delicious French fries. It's like you can go 100% au natural, dude. I think people are gonna drift that way because it's so much cheaper. You know, people realizing you don't have to work. That's why everybody's looking for people to work for them, because people realize you don't have to work because you can live real cheap and just live in your mom's basement and study and get stuff done. So anyways, almost 20 minutes. So yeah, I missed a video yesterday, so I can do 20 minutes a day. Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm doing so many different work, take forever to get done. It's one thing that freaks out my mom. But the more that I do, the more ambitious I get, because the more I realize, because I start to formulate in my head, because I've been doing this so long, I can formulate in my head like how long it'll take to do something. Like for example, the road across, I don't know what bay it was, some bay in Italy. It was maybe like 4 miles long or something. Caligula made a bridge across the bay, made out of boats that he then strapped together and put planks on it, and then rode his chariot across on his horse, just to prove to everybody that because somebody said when he was a kid the chances of him becoming emperor were the same as him riding his four-horse chariot across the bay of something. So he became emperor, and he was so rich, he was like, watch this, I'll ride my four-horse chariot across the bay too. And it actually screwed up the import of food for the people, and they had a rebellion because of it, because they didn't have any boats. He used all the boats for the bridge. So anyway, if I wanted to build it, it's like what, 400 boats. If I wanted to build something with like 400 boats and string each other, like I could figure out in my head, it's like how long I could take. I'd be, I did in an afternoon. Oh, was that worth it? Fuck yeah, it's worth it. It's fun, famous thing. So it's like you just do that one after another, and all the information, famous stuff that you could build on Rome. Like I would want to build, but I would only build like one version of something. Like if I wanted to build an army hiking down the road, I'd build I build the most famous, like Julius coming back. I build it, and then that's my token one. And then everything after that, I would just do a screen capture it and put it on, So it's only the first one that's time consuming. So it's not quite as time consuming as you would imagine. Anyways, let's keep this on 20 minutes. By tomorrow, maybe I'll be done by the end of tomorrow. Maybe I'll be done with Capitol Hill, working on surveying the wall again. That'd be really cool. Because to get going on the Vespasian wall is super exciting, because it's like an invention. It's like a discovery, I consider it. Okay, talk to you tomorrow.